diabetes is very manageable. I know we just heard about medication. I know you had an overview this morning. I think as somebody, and thank you, by the way, for doing all this, being volunteers. If I had a volunteer help me walk through this when I was 26, 27, it would have been a lot easier. I would have been a lot healthier in the long run. But it's very manageable, and I think that's the point we have to get across to patients from the get-go. It is a disease that you can actually manage, which is fantastic. You know, if you have to draw that lot, it's a disease you can manage. So we're always trying to empower people to, you're in the driver's seat, you're the captain, you can manage this. You can sulk for a few months and feel overwhelmed, we all get that, but you gotta take control, and you can take control. So if we can get that word out, if you hear nothing else I say, that would be fantastic. And the more, this is all written for the client, by the way. So the more you know about your disease, the better. The more control you are in. A lot of people think, okay, I have diabetes, now I can't ever go out to eat. I can't ever have a cupcake. Oh, I'm Italian, what am I gonna eat? I can't eat anything. That's not the case. We just wanna keep educating people so they are empowered. They can keep gathering knowledge, and they can make good choices, because ultimately it's really up to them. And food is awesome. It's great. It's not the enemy. We have to eat every day, several times a day. We want to make sure that they're not thinking of food as the enemy. They are in control of what they're eating. Let's help them be educated so they can make really good choices. You can have the Entenmann's crumb cake, or maybe you can have a whole grain sandwich. There might be the same amount of carbohydrates in each of those choices, but one is going to help you, one is not going to help you. So I try to tell people, make the food work for you. You're eating, make it work for you. Don't work against you, you know? And celebrations, traditions, socializing, holidays, all can continue. I remember my first holiday season when I had diabetes, and I was petrified. You know, Thanksgiving, oh my God, it's like a carb buffet. But Thanksgiving is about the holiday, it's about your family. Sometimes you want to get away from your family, but it's about the traditions, and you can have a little bit of everything. You know, you just want to be able to feel empowered going into these situations, so you are in control. So again, let me dispel a myth. There is no diabetic diet. That's not true. Maybe our grandparents thought there was a diabetic diet. There isn't. A diabetic diet is a healthy diet. We're all eating diabetic diets, hopefully, because it's healthy, balanced food. So that, I think, we can dispel that off the bat, because people feel like, oh, I'm diabetic, what am I going to eat? You can eat anything that your wife eats, or your cousin eats, or your son or daughter eats, anything. You can't eat as much as you want, but you can eat anything that you want. But as we just heard about medication, you know, there's a three-legged stool. It's food, it's medication, it's exercise. So, you know, if we can, again, get that point across, food is only one component. You can certainly eat a whole Entenmann's crumb cake, but you better be willing to take a heck of a lot of insulin to balance that. And we don't want that, because then there's knock-on effects. So balanced meals, medication, exercise, the three legs of a really good stool. The diet plan focuses on a few factors. Healthy eating, which is again a balanced diet, which everyone we hope could eat. Label reading, so important, and again, so empowering. Portion control. Again, all of these things is what everyone hopefully could and should do. Not that it's easy, but this is how we all can eat well and be as healthy as we possibly can be. People with diabetes can enjoy the same food the family eats. They don't have to make a separate meal. They don't have to carry separate food. They can eat the same food. So these are basic nutrition guidelines. 100% whole grains over white breads and white flours. The reason why is whole grains, something that has that 100%, it digests slowly in your intestines. So it releases that sugar, that glucose, slower than the white refined grains. So your blood sugar doesn't spike up. You have energy now over 3-4 hours as opposed to 90 minutes and then having that crash. So whole grains, whole wheat pasta, brown rice, whole wheat bread, whole grain cereal. When I talk to kids, it's like I say, you have a piece of rice. You have a brown piece of rice that has a little brown jacket on, or you have the white rice that has that jacket taken off. Well, your body needs to break through that brown jacket on every single piece of rice to digest it. So you're giving your body a little bit of extra time to digest that food. You're giving your medication a fighting chance to catch up to what you're eating. So not only are you helping, yourself, but you're helping your medication help you. Nothing is worse than that, I just ate slump. You know, if you're eating and you're falling asleep 90 minutes later, you know, that's not a great feeling. So then what do? You probably eat to give yourself a little more energy. So now you're on this roller coaster. So we want to avoid that. So 100% whole grains. Foods that are high in fiber. Again, foods that are high in fiber, like vegetables, beans, whole grains, they swell up, they fill up your stomach. They help slow down the whole digestive process. They make your body work in a good way. They also help lower cholesterol because if you have a lot of fiber, and as I say, as it's getting down the whole track system here, and you got to get it off the exit ramp, it becomes compacted. You need your body's own natural cholesterol to make it nice and slippery to get out the exit ramp. So whole grains, foods that are high in fiber are rough in a good way. They get compacted, but you need some way to get that out, and your body uses its own source of cholesterol to get it out the door. Limiting unhealthy saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. Nobody dies of diabetes. They die of complications of diabetes. The biggest complication of diabetes is heart problems, coronary problems, heart disease. So ultimately, diabetes is a cardiac disease. So whenever we talk about things, we do talk about carbohydrates, of course, but we also have to always talk about fat. Because what happens, you don't want to have too many carbs, so maybe you have an extra big piece of steak. Yeah, you're going to be full, but now you're eating a lot of that saturated fat. We always have to keep our eye about 20 years down the line to make sure that we're not going to have a cardiac issue, okay? Any questions so far? Please stop me at any point. I'm used to being interrupted at home. All right, next. So let's just run through the macronutrients. I'm sure you all know this, but there's only 3 types of food: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. All food breaks down into these 3 macronutrients. Fat, it's important. We do need fat as a part of our day. About 25% of our daily food should be made up of fat. Every single cell has fat in it, but we want the fat to be the fat that helps our heart, not hurts our heart. So if you think of fats that are liquid at room temperature, think of that nice liquid, beautiful olive oil running through your veins, not the Crisco oil or the butter running through your veins. So if it's liquid at room temperature, good fat. If it is solid at room temperature, not the great fat that we want.
Besides olive oil, are there other oils?
Avocado oil, canola oil, any kind of seed oil,
Okay.
all those types of oil. Anything that comes from a plant.
Okay.
Anything that grows from the ground, fantastic.
Okay.
Things that walk on the ground, not so fantastic. So again, different ways of remembering it, right? So when it comes to fat though, fat, it provides satiety, which means that's what makes us feel nice and full, right? But of all the 3 different macronutrients, it has the most calories. 9 calories per gram as opposed to 4 calories per gram for carbohydrates and protein. So you feel full, great, but you're full because you're full of calories. It's the easiest way to gain and lose weight, by adding or subtracting fat. So if someone is underweight, they've just been through the flu, eat a few peanut butter sandwiches, eat a handful of almonds, have some avocado on toast, great fat. If you want to start losing weight, start looking at the fat. Start looking at the cream in your coffee. How much butter are you using? Full fat yogurt, full fat sour cream. Let's start trimming the fat. So easiest way to lose and gain weight. But again, keeping our eye on our heart. 20 years down the line, we want to make sure we're limiting the saturated fat.
Excuse me, Barbara.
Yes.
Question.
Shoot.
Avocado. I know avocado is a good fat. I get that. And then I have read that it's also a carb. So I took actually insulin so that my blood sugar wouldn't go up from the avocado. Now, I took too much insulin because I didn't really need that. But when you look in a book or you look on the line on the nutrition facts, it says it's carb, but it really...
There's almost none. Yeah, it's really more like a green vegetable. Usually it's about 25 to 30% of our diet. It also makes you feel full because protein is very complicated. It takes a long time for your body to unravel protein, almost like a cable. So if you have even like a chicken breast, your body's going to have to take a little while to digest that, so you feel full for a while. But again, keeping our eye on those fats, we want to make sure we're choosing lean proteins, fish, fantastic, beans, poultry, lean red meats. You can certainly have beef, but let's try to get a 90% lean burger as opposed to an 80% lean burger, things like that. All right, who's doing slides? You? Okay, thank you. Okay. Next. So carbohydrates. Of course, this is the complete cornerstone of diabetes management when it comes to our macronutrients. Can you see? Am I blocking you?
A little bit, but
Okay. Am I okay where I am? All right. So carbohydrates, your main source of fuel. Your body runs on glucose. So any carbohydrate breaks down in your body into glucose, and then that's what your body runs on, your brain runs on. So we definitely need it. Pasta, grains, breads, fruit, milk, other dairy products, and then starchy vegetables, beans, corn, potatoes, peas, things like that. Carbohydrates are the only foods that have an effect on blood sugar. Only foods. You can sit there and you can eat an entire chicken, and your blood sugar is not going to move more than 5 or 10 points. But you have 4 crackers, your blood sugar is going to start rising. So it is the only food that has an effect on blood sugar. So if I'm talking to a patient and they are completely freaked out and overwhelmed that they just had a diagnosis about diabetes, I only start focusing on the carbohydrates. We only talk about carbs. Nothing else for a while, because we give them a little bit of a education about carbs, and we start, talking about that, so it seems manageable, and it's a good place to start. Only food that has an effect on your blood sugar. The thing is, people say, well, I eat sugar-free cookies, or I don't eat candy. It's not sugar, it's total carbohydrate. So if you looked at a label, sugar-free cookie versus a regular cookie, total carbohydrates are the same, because it's made with flour, it's made with cream, it's made with almost all of the same components as a regular cookie. So it's not just the sugar. People will look at a yogurt and say, it's got nine sugars in here. Okay, it's 9 sugars, but it's naturally occurring sugar. The benefits of a yogurt far outweigh that sugar. So we don't want to get sidetracked by sugar. Just that bold line that says total carbohydrates. It's the only thing you need to worry about. Sugar, of course, there's things that say no added sugar, natural form of sugar. It's very, very confusing. Total carbohydrates. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. Fiber, it's part of that total carbohydrate. It's absorbed. It helps regulate blood sugar, but again, we don't even have to worry about that. And sugar might be under other names. Also, people are saying, well, I have honey. That's better for you, right? Is it better than agave? Or is it? It's all total carbohydrates, so we always just have to emphasize that, okay? I just don't want anyone to feel like they're doing the right thing and then be disappointed when they go to the doctor and their A1C is still high because they've been putting honey in their tea instead of sugar and they thought they were doing well. And then they get disappointed and then they get defeated. So we just want to keep educating so people feel like they're empowered. All right, so this is just a sample label. So there's a few things that are super important. Under the word nutrition facts, the first thing you always see, which is the most important thing on the label, is what is a serving size? How much of this food are we talking about? Yeah. Is it the whole box? Is it 1/8 of a box? Is it, anyone know how many cookies are in a serving of Oreos?
1.
2. 2. Not the whole sleeve, not however long your milk lasts. 2 cookies. And so the whole label is based on 2 cookies. So again, we just have to know how much are you eating. You can have 6 cookies, but now you got to multiply all this by 3, which is absolutely fine. You're in control. Just want to make sure that you know what's happening here. Haagen-Dazs, 4 servings. A box of pasta, 8 servings in a box of pasta. Any pasta, you name it. 8 servings. Really? Seriously?
And it's pasta is so high in carbs. If you have just a small amount, you have to take a boatload of insulin.
Absolutely, you do.
Pasta is probably the hardest thing for anybody.
So pasta and cereal. We take the bowl out of the cupboard, we fill up the bowl. It's a bowl, right? Yeah. No. Most cereal, 3/4 of a cup or 1 cup is a serving. Yeah. It's mind-blowing once you actually start looking at this stuff.
Because the average person, they're going to eat cereal, and they're not watching.
Correct.
They're pouring. I see how my husband eats.
Yeah.
He's eating healthy, but when you have diabetes, the most important thing is measuring what you're eating.
Yeah. So I always say, if I'm ever going to get a tattoo, it's going to say, there's no bad foods, there's only bad portions. You can have anything.
Right.
We have to just measure it so we know. Why am I feeling awful?
Right.
It's 2 o'clock. I just had lunch. Why am I feeling this way? Because you probably had 60 carbs when you thought you only had 30 carbs. Serving size, the most important bit of information. we don't have to worry about anything else, especially when we start. Don't worry about calories at this point. Don't worry about fat at this point. Don't worry about sodium at this point. We jump all the way down to total carbohydrate. That's all we have to worry about at first, because we want people to start to get an idea of how many carbohydrates they're eating, how many carbohydrates they're taking in when they feel good and when they don't feel good. So serving size and carbohydrate, at first, that's all we need to worry about. It's the first step. So quarter of a plate is our starchy food, our bread, our grains, our potatoes. Half the plate hopefully should be vegetables. If you start your lunches and dinners, half the plate full of vegetables, you're batting 1,000 already. Because we know that it is the best food. It is a superfood. There's no added sugar, no added salt, no added fat, nothing bad about vegetables. Full of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals that help fight, radical cells in your body. They are fantastic. They're also full of fiber, going back to fibrous food. Every little stalk of broccoli, it remains a stalk of broccoli in your body. It might get broken down, but it's a stalk of broccoli. Your body's got to work hard at breaking that down. So all of the vegetables really do more than enough. So much great work for you. Half your plate veggies. That is really just the winning start to any meal. Quarter of our plate is our starches, because we do need energy. And then the other quarter of the plate is protein in whatever form you like. But again, just keeping your eye that we want to try to keep it as lean as possible so that we're healthy. But I can't emphasize enough when it comes to vegetables. I love when people come up to me and they say, I can't eat carrots, I have diabetes. Nobody ever got diabetes from eating carrots, I promise you that. So, or they say, oh, beets have so much sugar. Really? Wow, we're picking on poor beets now. I mean, whatever you like to eat, fruits and vegetables, if you're starting off that way, go to town. You want to have a salad with carrots and beets every day? Ain't okay with me. Also, when it comes to fruits, people tend to avoid fruits. Tons of great vitamins in fruits that aren't always in vegetables. It's all about portion control. You don't need to sit down with an entire pineapple. You have a cup of pineapple and enjoy yourself, right? So, yes.
For me at least, and I don't know if this is true for everybody else, I find that I do better with berries. Strawberries, raspberries, that whole group.
Absolutely.
If I have a piece of a pineapple or a piece of honeydew or watermelon, my blood sugar spikes, it doesn't work. So I find berries being a wonderful option, A. And B, my question was sweet potato. I have trouble with the sweet potato because it spikes my blood sugar. And I know what works for me, and I guess that's the point. Everybody has to experiment and see
Correct.
what works for them. But I think the berries might be better than the
Berries-
honeydews and the watermelon.
Berries are the best fruits going. And the reason why is, think of a raspberry. Every little bump on a raspberry has a seed in it. So your body's got to break down every one of those seeds. Every little piece of skin on a blueberry has to be broken down. So it's very low in natural sugar, very high in fiber, and also super high in phytochemicals, which help your body from the inside out. So berries, strawberry has got 100 seeds on every little strawberry. Your body's got to break all that down. So they are fantastic, and they're fantastically low in sugar as well.
Now, one other thing is bananas. I can't eat a banana.
Yeah.
And they say it's so high in sugar.
It is.
It's unbelievable. So
It is. So usually bananas are hard, because who's going to
They
have
are
half
hard.
a banana and
They
then
are
I have to
hard.
hold my banana, I'm going to put
Right.
it for later. No one's doing that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
to me, it's not worth, I think
I
everything
agree.
is value.
Yes.
What's more valuable
Yes.
to you?
Yes.
Banana, not worth
It's not
my
worth
time,
it.
unless I'm driving down 287 and I haven't eaten and I need a banana. That's
Yeah.
it. So berries, fantastic. Melons are still great, but you do have to experiment with yourself. The only fruits that I would say are difficult, grapes, pineapple, and bananas. They're just, because nobody eats 5 grapes. They eat 25 grapes, and now your blood sugar is going through the roof. So again, there are some fruits I would tend to avoid, but in general, people don't have to avoid the entire food group of fruits. People get nervous about that. If you're talking to people, there's different ways, like little hand methods. So starches, a fist, size of a fist. That is about 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup of pasta, of rice, of a potato. A fist like that. That's really it. It's 1 serving. Doesn't mean they can't have 2 potatoes or 2 servings, but we all getting back to knowing what 1 serving is. Meat should be the size of the palm of your hand
For anybody,
That's-
male or female.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like it's scientifically 4 ounces, but yes, I mean, palm of your hand, lean meat should be about the size of your hand. That's about 4 ounces. Vegetables, can't get enough. This is probably about a cup and a half. At least we want to have that.
Can you eat more than that?
Please
Yeah,
eat
you
more.
want-
You should, yeah, but I mean, you want to say at least, at least a handful,
Okay.
2 handfuls of veggies. So that's just, again, a visual way. When people go out to eat, it also is difficult when you have diabetes. You get fearful, like you don't know, how many carbs, you're trying to guesstimate. So this is just a kind of a handy way, no pun intended, to figure out how many carbs are in things. So carb counting is really just counting how many carbohydrates you are having for each meal. And that is the key. Each meal, not the day, because we don't want to say, ugh, I know I'm going out to lunch with Tom, so I'm not going to eat breakfast. I'm going to skip that breakfast because I'm going to have 2 pieces of pizza. You're not saving up your carbs. Then that's not good because now you're going low, high, you're going all over the map. We don't want to be in a roller coaster. So carb counting helps keep patients on a track so they have consistent amounts of carbs. It used to be in the old days where you had to eat exactly at 12 o'clock. Oh, I'm diabetic, gotta eat 12 o'clock, gotta have my broiled fish and my broccoli. I mean, I had an uncle, like, oh, that sounds like a food prison, right? But you don't need to eat the same amount of food, you just need to eat the same amount of carbohydrates. So, and again, this is where fine tuning. For women, it's usually in that 30 to 45 gram range. For men, about 40 to 60 gram range. If you're a 6'4" guy, maybe it's 75 grams. Everyone's a little bit different. But you want to eat the same amounts of carbohydrates, morning, noon, and night, so your blood sugar is steady throughout the whole day. When you're first diagnosed, that's kind of, you want a little bit of guidelines, but everyone's a little different. So it takes a little bit of trial and error, but that's where the label reading and the counting comes into play. So the terminology, though, is also a little bit tough when you're new to this. It's carbs, it's a serving, it's an exchange. I don't think we use exchange anymore. But, there's all these different terminology, and you read things, and you're like, wait, this says 2 exchanges. What's an exchange? It all goes back to the number 15 for whatever reason. So 15 grams of carbohydrate is 1 carbohydrate serving or 1 exchange. So it's all in sets of 15. So an example of 1 carb serving, 15 grams, a slice of bread, a third of pasta, a small potato, 3/4 of a cup of cold cereal. That might even be a little bit too conservative. Oatmeal or a small piece of fruit. So it all goes back to 15. So 1 serving, 1 exchange, 15. So carb counting. Most women require between 30 and 45 grams of carb per meal. Sometimes people say, oh, that's that for the day. No, it's per meal. And that's a decent amount. So 30 grams of carbs, you can have 2 slices of toast and an egg in the morning. You can have, a small bowl of oatmeal with some berries on it. You can have a Greek yogurt and a Nature's Valley granola bar. So you have wiggle room, but you just can't go and have a bagel because that's going to be 60, 65, 70 grams of carbohydrates. So that's where you have to kind of remember. Most men between 45 and 60 grams of carbohydrate per meal. Because again, the name of the game is keeping the blood sugar steady. We don't want the roller coaster because that's when you feel unwell. That's when you feel worn out. That's when you're slumping 1 minute and then you're perspiring the next because your blood sugar is all over the map. You don't want that. And also 2 snacks a day, give or take, depending on your schedule and on your medication. So what I like to do, again, I know it's goofy, but it works. So I call it Carb Bucks. So we have a checking account, right? You have, as a woman, $45 to spend each meal. Like we keep track of our checking account. You use it, you lose it. You got $45. What are you going to spend it on? A donut? You just blew your $45. A glass of juice? Forget it. You just spent $20 just gulping down 8 ounces. Who measures out 8 ounces of juice? Nobody does. So, or you're going to have maybe turkey bacon and an egg on an English muffin. That's only 26 carbs right there. How much are you going to spend with your 45 carb bucks? Now, it depends on what's valuable to you. Maybe on this one day, it's been a crappy day, it's raining, I just want a donut. You have a donut. Now you blew it. But so it's up to you. How are you going to spend those carbohydrates for that meal? And again, you can't save. You can't save your money in your checking account for lunch or for dinner. You use it or you lose it. Next meal you start over with a fresh stack of carbohydrate bills. So that's how, again, it's just a way of wrapping your head around this. So, everyone has a checking account, everyone has a budget. So it's just a way of educating. So you don't want to waste your bucks on high sugary, expensive meals, expensive food. It's just not worth it most days when you're really thinking about it. So carb counting helps you be conscious of the portions and how many carbs that food contains. And then you start to learn. You're like, wow, Thomas's English muffin is only 25 carbs. That's pretty good. But a bagel is 60. That's not worth it. It's not valuable enough to me.
I was going to say, a diabetic should never eat a bagel.
All right. So these are just some grocery guidelines that I like to do. When I see that patient, their eyes are glazing over, which happens, and people are getting overwhelmed, the great thing about working in the supermarket is, let's get up and let's take a walk. You show me what you like to eat, and we're gonna just start, putting some of these things into practice. So what I did, I just put together a few little guidelines in terms of what are some great areas of the supermarket. So the produce department is fantastic. We always start there because it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's abundant. Somebody has to like some vegetables. Even people will say, I don't like vegetables. So, there's hundreds of vegetables, you gotta like something. So let's start there. But there are all these different foods that people they're already thinking, I can't eat what I like to eat anymore. That's the overwhelming fear that people have. And then they just bury their head in the sand. So we really just want to get the point across. They can eat the foods they love. Just we have to watch the carbs and the portions. So starting out in the produce department, all fruits and vegetables are great. They have vitamins, they have minerals, they have fiber. Fantastic. A half of a cup is a portion, which isn't a lot. So again, when I talk to kids, about 9 baby carrots is half of a cup. 5 strawberries is half of a cup. So when we say we want 6 to 9 portions of vegetables a day, you can get to that. You have a veggie soup, you have a salad, you have 2 or 3 scoops of veggies on your dinner plate, you're gonna hit those 9 portions. And starchy vegetables are a starch. Of course people say, I love corn, I love peas, I love potatoes. Yes, fabulous, but those are starches. So we wanna make sure that they recognize that those are starches and not green veggies. Bakery department, again, I love baked goods. That is my Achilles heel. But we have to watch the portion. As we were saying, one bagel is at least 60 grams of carbohydrate, at least. That's before you put a smear of anything on that. So it is not a good value. There are plenty of things that are better for you, but it's hard. Again, a muffin, forget it. I mean, we started putting calories on the muffins in shop right now.
You can't.
800, 700 for one muffin. That's not even talking about the carbs, but I mean, good Lord,
And boy,
it's
they're
mind
so
blowing.
delicious.
I know.
It's a shame.
I know. The worst thing Panera did for their business with me is put the calories. I'm like, really? Seriously? I gotta walk out.
What do you mean, Panera?
They put how many calories are on every baked item in Panera, right here. Yeah. Bear claw,
a small
1,200
muffin,
calories.
which they served at breakfast today.
Pardon me?
Small.
Oh, the
Small.
minis?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you can have a muffin.
You're about-
You can have a mini muffin and some fruit and peanut butter and jelly. Love it. Fantastic breakfast. I have it often. Again, limit your intake of muffins, pastries, cakes, and donuts because they are also full of fat. Exactly. Fat. They're flaky and they're moist for a reason. There's not enough value to offset how much carbohydrate is in a muffin or is in a pastry. It breaks my heart to say that, but it's true. All right. So dairy department. So a lot of times, again, people are sidelined. Most dairy, all dairy, contains a natural sugar, cow sugar, called lactose. It's naturally occurring, but it's part of the milk, So milk is still great for us. It has vitamin A, it has vitamin D, it has calcium. It's a really, really great food source. And again, Greek yogurt, one of the best bangs for your buck. High protein, you can get it in low fat, low sugar, really, really great, especially for someone with diabetes. But we want to choose fat-free or low-fat milk, again, keeping our eye on our cardiac health. Almond milk is a decent choice because there's only 1 carb in 8 ounces, but it has less protein. It's only 1 gram of protein in that. But it is, it is a decent substitution. Non-dairy creamer in their coffee, and they have 1 tablespoon. Go ahead, enjoy it. Enjoy that cup of coffee. Start your day off right. You don't want to start your day off feeling like, again, you're in food prison.
Barbara, what about lactose-free?
Lactose-free is great. It just doesn't have the lactose. Or they actually, they add an enzyme to the milk that counteracts. When you're a lactose intolerant, it means your body isn't making an enzyme called lactase that counteracts the lactose, so you get all gurgly. So the lactate milk, they add the enzyme to that milk to kind of counteract it for somebody like that. But it has all the other benefits. Low-fat yogurt with added sugar, we have to watch that. I mean, they've taken beautiful Greek yogurt and now they add like candy to put on top of it. Like, come on, it was so good, and now you're eating that. Add some extra fruit, add some almonds, add some nuts on top of it. It's a fantastic breakfast. Light yogurt with artificial sweetener has total less carbohydrates. Plain yogurt with fresh fruit. You can also, now you're adding some fiber to that, so that's fantastic. Meat, seafood, and poultry department. So how much carbohydrates are in meat, seafood, and poultry? 0, right? So again, if I see a big guy and he's struggling with diabetes, have an extra piece of chicken. Have an extra hamburger without the bun. That's a lean burger. We don't want anyone to be starving or be super hungry, because what are they going to do? They're going to overeat. They're going to eat. We don't want them to make bad choices. So go ahead, have another 3 or 4 shrimp. Have another piece of salmon. It's better, and again, you'll feel more in control because you're not going to be feeling, starving and then diving into the bag of potato chips, and then you feel bad about yourself. Deli and prepared foods, again, cold cuts, turkeys, things like that are fantastic because they are great sources of lean protein. We just, again, want to keep our eye on the sodium, keep our eye on the fat, the pink meats, things like that. Or any kind of salads that are based in mayonnaise that might be really, really heavy. Pizza. I know I said no bad foods, but there is a small category of foods that we might have to break up with. And pizza are one of those foods. There is nothing beneficial about pizza other than, again, I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. There's pizza in my veins. I love pizza. But it is nobody's friend. Nobody's friend. It's high carb, high fat. Who's eating veggie pizza? Anybody? Really not. So it is really not a great food. It's very convenient, I know, and it is delicious, I know, but it's such a strain on your body.
And the problem is portion control.
Yeah, who eats one slice? Nobody eats one slice. No.
And then you have another, and then, it just is very hard to manage.
And everyone wants to take a nap an hour later, everyone. Yeah. And then if you have
So
diabetes,
high fat,
again,
no.
high fat, high carb, your body is struggling, and there's no value. I'd rather see someone sit down to a T-bone. There's value there. It's going to help you. It feels great. But pizza, no.
It's the hardest thing for kids going to college with diabetes because
True.
Everybody is getting pizza. It's
Of
just
course.
an easy thing to eat.
I know.
And for the kids struggling with the diabetes, that's not an easy situation.
It's not. I understand. It absolutely
It's
is
tough.
not.
Yeah.
But if they had to do it, would you say, like, do pizza and do a big salad on the
Well,
side?
that's what I say. Start with the salad
Yeah.
and then have one piece of pizza. It's hard. It really
It's
is
hard.
Adding fiber to sandwiches by choosing, of course, 100% whole grain bread, adding lettuce, tomato, any other kind of veggies you can throw into that. Again, bulks it up, makes your body do a little bit of extra work so that bread is not turning into glucose quickly and then your blood sugar is spiking. And then remove skin from rotisserie chicken. Rotisserie chicken, kind of most of the fat is already melted onto the chicken, which is why it's so yummy. But you just take the skin off because you don't want to be eating any residual fat if you don't have to. Okay, grocery department. Again, when we're picking up grocery foods, if it's canned fruit, we want to make sure that it's 100% fruit and 100% juice, not heavy syrup. Again, it's just really not doing you any good. Don't drink your carbohydrates. It is the quickest way for your blood sugar to go up extremely quickly. Again, an 8-ounce cup is this. I mean, a lot of people, who drinks 8 ounces of any beverage? It's really, really a struggle for people to maintain that portion. So 8 ounces of juice, 8 ounces of soda, even 8 ounces of milk, there's carbohydrates in that, especially juice. It's just not a good value. So just want to keep our eye on beverages. Seltzers, Diet soda, if that's gonna help get you, through the day, fine. Tea, coffee, anything like that, or just plain old water is awesome. I know it gets boring, but water is of course the best. So if you can find a light version, like light cranberry juice, and then you put it in water, sometimes that can be like a transition. But that's a very difficult habit to break. Beans, peas, lentils are a great source of protein and fiber. So they have a lot of benefits, really great benefits. And they're also economic, there's so many different varieties. But they do act similar to a starch. So it's not a free food like a green veggie. We'll have to make sure we're looking at that label and measuring in our portions. It's a great food, but there is carbohydrate in that. And flavor and spices are your best friend. There are so many spices and great marinades and onions, garlic, peppers, sriracha, you name it. No carbs in any of this stuff. Add a little hot sauce to anything and it makes it taste better. So there's so many great flavors out there. Nobody, again, you don't have to be in food prison. Eat great flavorful food. We just want to make sure that we're keeping our eye on the portions, keeping our eye on the carbohydrates. I have I kid you not, about 10 different jars of different spices, sauces, sriracha, hoisin, ponzu, any kind of red hots that Frank makes, I eat. So, fantastic. Cereals, as we spoke about earlier, not a great value because there's a lot of carbohydrates in a very small amount of cereal. If you are going to eat cereal though, whole grain cereals with little added sugar are your best bets. Cheerios, anything that says 100% whole grain or whole grain is in the first ingredient is fantastic. I use cereal as a topping for yogurt. I don't eat cereal in a bowl, I put it on top of things because sometimes you want that crunch, you want that flavor. Frozen vegetables, what is better than those steamable bags? Nothing. Steamable bags, 99 cents. Go into any shop, right? Some brand is on sale for 99 cents. You have a bag of spinach or peppers or broccoli, 99 cents, 5 minutes later you have half your plate of veggies. Steamable veggies are fantastic. And again, they have all the great goodness that you're going to get in fresh, out of season. Also fruit. If you're going to be making some sort of a fruit dessert, you can also use frozen fruit. Frozen dinners, of course, they have a lot of sodium. But again, when I'm speaking to somebody who is overwhelmed because they don't know how to manage their diabetes, I steer them to a Weight Watchers or a lean cuisine because it is portion controlled. There's a ton of different varieties. You like Chinese? Have this one. You like pasta? Have this one. It's portion controlled. The carbohydrate amount is right on the label. It's one serving, and you move on. You have a big salad with that, and we move on. So, of course, I would never recommend stock your freezer with these high sodium meals and eat them every day. But if that's going to help somebody get through a lunch or a dinner or get home from work and not dig into or not call a pizza, that is fine. Because the information is right there, right on the label. The label is the most powerful bit of information. When it comes to desserts, sugar-free popsicles, not even sugar-free sometimes. Those little Italian ices? You have to scrape. It takes like a half hour to eat one of those cups. Eat it. It's 100 calories. It's about 19 or 20 carbs. Have an Italian ice, Have a frozen popsicle. But, giving someone a pint of Haagen-Dazs and saying, I just have one serving. Really? I mean, that's like torture. So I like the portion control things that you can have. Take one out of the freezer, you can eat it, and then you can feel like everyone can eat it. Your kids can eat it. Everyone can eat it. You feel like you're part of the family. All right. So, wrapping up. I know I've said a lot. I talk a lot. I know. So the patient is in control of diabetes, not the other way around. Once you make that switch, it is life-changing. The diabetes is not in control of you. You are in control of this. It is a disease that you can control. Eating well, exercise, taking your medication, it all works together. There are no bad foods. No bad foods, only bad portions. Portion size makes a huge difference when it comes to counting carbohydrates and calories. So people have to read labels. If it's not on the label, ask Siri. If it's not on Siri, Google it. If it's not, ask your kid to Google it. Whatever you need to get that information, get it. So you know before you sit down what you're eating. If you go to a restaurant, go online. They probably have the menu right there. And you can either Google it or they have the nutrition information. Especially if it's a chain. If it's a chain, they have to have it. knowledge is empowering. Again, for about 10 years, I was just adrift. I didn't know what I was doing. I was taking insulin, but I really didn't know what about food, about eating. You feel out of control, which is an awful feeling, and then you start to ignore, because you don't like feeling out of control, so you just decide to ignore the disease. Not good.